there was
Would I
also
know anything about Karn?
Yeah, so one thing that you know about Karn is that um, him and the Duke have been at odds as of late, and you don't know for what reason, but the rumors have basically said that uh, that a number of times Karn has been trying to challenge the Duke to a duel. Does not seem like the Duke has taken him up on that yet.
so yeah, give the name, and they mentioned some Pendrith Karn, Lord Pendrith Karn. I do not
Lord Pen Lord Penric
Pendrith
Karn.
Karn.
Yes.
Henry Karn.
They mentioned him. I couldn't get the context out of why, so I don't know if that's important, but that's just only two I've heard.
Okay, so we now know that high level Mortalitasi is involved. Karn, we don't really have anything else to go off of. I've heard rumblings that he's been aggressing the Duke.
Question is, but why is he guessing the Duke? Is there a reason behind that, or has there been nothing that was found?
I'll be honest, I don't know the specific details, but it seems like it was just contestation of power, essentially.
Could we get Khan on our side?
Now that's a possibility.
Maybe.
Okay. Well,
The question now is this all we know now is there's this mysterious third party that the Duke has been working with to do this legality with your client.
Perhaps Leon and Deatham had some look at the legal officers. They might have the missing pieces of this jigsaw.
well, if they at least got the marquee, we'd know the specific details of what was being
Yes.
approached upon for, as far as property theft goes.
Like I said, this is all that I've learned. I tried my best, but time ran out, so did the best I can. Hopefully, this is all.
Well, you did a lot farther than we could get, and I'm very helpful for it.
You did very well, Tyrion.
Oh, well, thank you.
Okay.
Not like doing this as much, but if it's necessary for the good, and well, some crimes have to be done. Leon, Dale, or
Dalon. Okay, so yes, those two are making their way to Castle Navarra. And I'm going to, in the interest of time, I'm going to say you'll be able to provide the papers necessary for you to eventually get to the office where, if you wanted to get a letter of marquee, is where you would go to have that done. And when you get to the office, nobody is. It seems like nobody is there, but then you start hearing a shuffling from behind you, and the gentleman known as Manfred approaches very slowly. He doesn't seem to acknowledge the two of you right away, but he does get to the door of the office. He very slowly reaches into his pocket, fumbles around with this large set of keys in his pocket, and then he very slowly opens the door to the office and then steps inside. And I guess if you want to follow him in, you can follow him in. There will be a desk of some sort. Manfred will turn on a torch to let some light into the room, and he will sit down on the ground, or sit down on the chair of the desk, and he will face you with very cold eyes that are kind of glazed over a bit. And he will just sit there waiting.
Hello, we heard that you are the one who approves all the marquee, right? Market marquee applications.
He turns his head towards Leon and he just stares at him. He doesn't verbally respond, he just looks at him right in the eye.
Oh no.
Into your very soul.
The cold, dead fish eyes.
The cold, dead fish eyes.
My sir, the two of us had a question are a few questions regarding one of your letters of marque.
He will then turn his gaze towards Dartham and just waits.
It's gonna whisper to Dartham. Maybe if we present him with a document, he'll just stamp it.
I will look to Manfred and say, "My sir, are you capable of answering our questions?"
He will slowly nod.
So, for the most recent letters of marque, we see that you've approved quite a lot recently, and there's been quite a lot of public upheaval as things have started to get a little out of hand. In fact, there's a case just recently brought up about an attempted murder about this. Could you give us a little bit more explanation on why there's so many?
Manfred turns to what appears to be a tapestry, a self-portrait of the Queen. And in response to your answer as to why all the sudden change, he points to the portrait of the Queen.
All right.
Very slowly, and he's got his fingers like the kind of finger that doesn't quite point too straight, but it kind of shakes a little bit as he moves. All of his movement is very slow and lethargic, and tired. He always looks like he's tired.
Is it the Queen then who has bidden you to approve all of these various letters?
He nods.
Are you asked to judge the letters or simply to accept them?
Judge. Finally, the man speaks for the very first time, a very hoarse voice, very dry, very, very dry.
Wow, and I thought I sounded bad.
Then there must be some criteria on which these letters get passed. Is there like a rule system?
He turns over to which is a medieval type of filing cabinet, and he pulls open a drawer, pulls out a document from the drawer, and then he hands it to you, and pretty much it is written in very fine handwriting, stamped by the Queen herself, and basically gives guidelines of the types of things that he can approve. He just doesn't approve them willy-nilly. There are specific guidelines. Again, the way that I've described them, they can only be from people within the city, within the jurisdiction of Navaran City itself. Any request for a marquee that's beyond that needs to be taken up to the Queen herself if she wants to make an exception, but they have to be very good for very good reasons. I don't know if there's anything specific that you're looking for.
Yeah, actually, knowing that, I'll ask Manfred, my sir, are there any recent letters of marque that have been required to be taken to Her Majesty?
He will nod, and he'll open the drawer again, and there's only a handful, 3 cases of requests, again, that were outside of the jurisdiction of the city. I think only one of them was approved.
So, out of character, it wasn't the Winters. The Winters were
Winters. No,
were one of just the cut and dry ones.
Right, it was pretty cut and dry. The Queen had to actually reach out to the leader of this outside city. I don't know what's a neighboring other than Tevinter. What else is a neighboring
Orlais and Free Marches? And
I would say in the Free Marches, there's something involving a citizen from the Free Marches versus somebody from Navara, and the Queen had to make arrangements with the Free March government to approve this.
Well, that's all the different cities. So yeah, Starkhaven. Yeah,
Starkhaven. We'll say it was Starkhaven. We'll just say it doesn't matter. But yeah, but the cases that were taken to the Queen are very, very few.
All right.
Could we see the Winters' application? Specifically for, and then the description of the case that we're looking into.
Mm-hmm.
He will again very slowly go. This time he stands up, and you can hear the creaking of bones rubbing up against each other as he stands up. He does a little bit of a shuffle to the bookcase, and the bookcases actually can like flip around, so you can like store other files and other documents behind. It's not a secret bookcase because you can just easily do it. But he flips around, and then you see him draw something out of the W section, and it's basically a box of some sort that he opens up. There is a small pile of documents there, but he pulls out one, and specifically he looks at it, puts it down, puts another one, he looks at it, and then he hands that to the two of you, and it appears to be a copy of the marquee that the Winters had. The marquee basically states that Duke Janus van Markham has a letter of marquee because of a alleged theft made by one Audric Fellhausen, who the Duke had witnessed had stolen some ancient Navarran urns from his collection, and actually witnessed him leaving his property with said urns, and wished to have these returned to him immediately. Otherwise, further reparations will have to be made, basically.
And that's all it's stated.
Like I'm condensing it down.
Yeah.
But
So-
that's essentially what it's saying.
For the for what we researched and stuff, is what he provides as evidence of theft enough, or is it a little shaky?
It's very shaky
It's very shaky.
because
Okay.
it's pretty much a he said, she said.
Right.
Can we?
So
make-
is there any other witnesses that correlate this, or is it just the one guy saying, I saw this thing, so therefore I'm gonna do a thing?
Yes, there is no other witness, but again, within the context of the fact that this is a very powerful family, and
Right,
so
right.
their word is more valuable than
Word
some middle-class
of
citizen's
Right.
word. So if Janus says that something was stolen from him, they're going to take it a little bit more
Mhm.
seriously. Oh,
Okay.
if Janus says, then it must be
Alright.
true.
So it's a flimsy excuse,
Flimsy excuse from a powerful family.
but because it comes from them. All right. So
Can we make a copy of this?
He will nod, and he will go into the back, and then after a few minutes he will emerge with what looks like a copy of
okay,
the letter, the document.
I'll let Leon take care of that.
Document get.
He sits again at his desk staring at, I guess, Leon, because that's who he gave the document to.
Is there any other questions we can ask him specifically?
There must be some sort of legal precedent or legal avenue someone can take if they have been unjustly accused for this writ. But it is a very powerful family, so probably people never
Yeah.
try.
I just don't know if we can get anything more from this scenario.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I feel like we needed the marquee, but not too much else.
I would suggest, but I'm not there, so go.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you if you want to end the scene or not.
No, I know I'm missing something, but I can't.
Yeah. We don't have the information from the other party, so we can't ask specifically about that.
So I wanted to ask, when you say you judge the Marquise, do you judge by the criteria given by Her Majesty, or by her criteria and your own judgment as well?
He will again point to the document that he gave you
Okay.
earlier.
So basically, he's not thinking about it. It's just, does it meet the guidelines?
Right.
Okay.
He's just following the script, basically. Does it
Got
meet
it.
this? Does it meet this? Does it meet this? I will say though, that there are things specifically written in the script that says, you are not allowed to take bribes. You do not accept bribes. So none of that was supposedly happening. But It
Doesn't
did
mean
say
you can't bribe another official to tell Manfred that this is a
right.
good one.
You
Yeah.
cannot. There is but there is a fee, and they'll give you like the pricing, and it does seem like it's a type of fee that would be reserved for upper
Elite,
class
yeah.
citizens. Yes, correct. As long as you can pay the price, they don't discriminate.
Mhm.
But it just so happens that if you have the money, then yeah, it's in your favor. All right. Well, I'll move on to the next
Yeah,
group.
no,
If
I
you
can't
think of
think of anything.
something at the last minute, then you're welcome to after this. So the other group, are you guys speaking with Tom Rainier? Is that what's happening?
I believe that was where we all said we'd meet back up as 5 to go.
Yeah.
talk
Oh, the
to
5 of you
Rainier.
will meet before you go to Tom Rainier. That's fine. You can meet back. You can reconvene back at the house. I'm assuming back at the Rousseau as residence, the
Yep, the Alren.
the Al residence. Yeah,
We were so
you'll get back to the Alren residence, and you actually see that Nathan has Balin on piggyback, and Balin's like riding on Nathan's back, and they're just playing around in the yard. And Balin has this big for him hammer that he's kind of like swinging around, like on a strap, similar to
Thor.
Thor, similar to Thor, kind of. Yeah, exactly. Daddy, you're home.
Yep, yes I am. You have fun with Nathan?
Yes, we did. Can we go to the festival now?
Out of character, do I know how long the festival is going to go on for?
It runs for a week.
Okay.
It's only just started, honestly.
I don't think tonight we'll be able to really fit the festival, Balin, but we'll definitely hit it way before it closes.
Are you busy with work again?
Unfortunately.
But we just got home.
I know, but they moved Daddy's case up to within under 36 hours, so I have to have everything ready.
Okay. Oh, cheer up, little man. He says, why don't we go and see what other toys you have to play with? Okay. And Balin's gonna, slowly take Nathan back inside.
Before Nathan goes, I'm gonna grab him by the shoulder. If he's still insisting on going, could you swing him by the festival for an hour if there's time?
Sure. I mean, I don't know the city very well, but I can do that if you'd like.
I have a couple maps in my office because I'm having to go all over the place. You're more than welcome to take one.
That'd be great. I'm happy to help. Hope the case is going okay.
It's going.
Well, if there's anything I can do to help out with, let me know.
Okay, I'm gonna basically clean off the coffee table and we're all gonna start setting down what we've got.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys are starting to get into the house, there is the smell of cookies in the air, just as a small detail. It seems to be wafting from this wagon. It looks like a baker is making his way to the town square to start selling some of his baked goods.
Pasha definitely lingers, and she just watches it, and she just, later.
Just later. All right. So the 5 of you are regrouped. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's go over what everyone got before we go give Rainier a visit.
Well, I guess we'll start with our documents first, and then we lay down the document that we got from Manford. It said, looks like the Winters, on the authority of Duke Janus von Markham, issued the writ about the Duke witnessing that our client has stolen some urns, ancient Winter urns.
Navarin, I thought. Navarin.
It sounds little flimsy at best. Maybe we could go off of that.
Additionally of note, Manfred has been commanded by Her Majesty to essentially just write off all marquees that are put in front of him as long as it meets a certain set of criteria.
And so it's essentially auto pen approval almost. Okay.
So he's been given by the Queen just to approve every single marquee.
And I'll go ahead and list the criteria. I imagine I could have written it or remembered it, so I'll list the criteria.
And honestly, the criteria doesn't seem unreasonable.
No.
Like, there are certainly marquees that would be disapproved if they were, it seems to be relatively legit. So even if it's like an automatic, yep, I think that would logically cover it reasonably 95% of the requests. There's nothing on there that looks shady.
Alright. Well, we definitely do know it's definitely not Duke Janus who's ordering this.
No, he ordered the writ. That we know. And we know that he's associating with an immortalitasi that's high up.
Yes, but someone is asking him to help him out with this.
Yes, and then we know from my contact in our visit at the estate that this isn't really the most gentlemanly of deals. Like, there was some extra persuasion from sources we don't know.
So, are you saying that someone wants him dead? But why would so many powerful people specifically target this guy?
Is Aldrich Fellhausen?
He's at the jailhouse. I was planning a visit to him after we go speak to Rainier.
Is he a powerful man? What does he do?
Out of character, if Tommy doesn't remember, Aldrich Fellhausen is a gentleman who is known to be very learned with architecture. I forgot what profession that would be called. But he's an expert in knowing about architectures in
architecture.
Well, I don't know. I feel like an architect is someone who creates the architecture, but I feel like this is somebody who actually understands the history.
He's a architect historian, essentially.
Right. I'll call him an architect historian.
Yeah. A scholar, essentially. So
right, a scholar. He's more of a scholar than an engineer.
So, hearing that, Darth will say, "Well, it's possibly what Audric could have known."
Well, Immortalitasi are involved, and you said that Manfred seems, let's just
he's
say,
dead. He's dead.
very, very, very dead with a spirit lingering in his body.
It's not even subtle. He's dead.
Yeah. Do you think he might be rounding up people they suspect that'll be like this? Because the number of marquees over the last couple of years has been rather high.
But you said that Manfred claimed that he was killed by the Winters.
Audric.
Audric. He was killed by
Manfred's
the Winters.
the other being with the spirit inside of him. I know it's confusing.
Whew, yeah.
There's so many of them.
Only two. There's so many.
He was killed by the Winters. Are the Winters putting spirits inside people, or are they just trying to?
No, but it seems that the Winters are a preferred source to handle this.
I think they're more. Still, why would you hire mercenaries to do assassination jobs? This sounds like the work of something of I don't know.
It never outright said assassination.
Maybe
True.
they're collecting components.
I mean, think about it. If you're a noble that needs reparations for artifacts that the average citizen couldn't pay or their property amount for, servitude might be your only way to pay that reparation.
Or why murder?
The question is the murder out of the ordinary, or is it what they're looking for?
Out of character, as I review the marquee, is there anything that would greenlight you're allowed to attack this person if, coming to the south?
Only in self-defense. If you try to collect and the person gets violent, and attacks you, for example, then yeah, in self-defense. you can.
I think it's best if we have to solve this a bit more and find out what actually happened, Sir.
So we need Sir Raynor's
Yeah,
testimony.
witness. Yes.
Maybe gather any information on similar cases?
Except we don't have much time on that, though. I think that's the problem.
If we had a way of finding out how many the Winters have done in recent history like this,
Yeah.
and if they were all by the same people, that would be somewhere to go off of. The question is, could we get that before the deadline? I suppose on the way to the fair, we could have Nathan pick up all of them involved with the Winters and the Markhams, and that could provide a pattern. The question is, are we going to get them? Because I've already wasted one writ of request on that.
Well, Manfred seemed to. You managed to get this writ of Marquis very easily from Manfred. Do you think you could get the others?
I imagine so.
Yeah.
He is not a quick-witted individual.
I'd say more or less an automaton.
Yes.
So we could have Nathan pick up any more writs of identical parties involved and see if they have the same flimsy upholding.
See if
Because
they
if,
have.
we're dealing with the Markham family, it's gonna have to be airtight when I go to the stand.
Knowing nobles, even as little as I do, I highly doubt there won't be more flimsy excuses.
Okay.
But, do you really want to expose yourself to danger like this? Because,
Leon, I don't think me staying in Navarra after this case is very viable.
Okay. So it's a good thing that we're planning on, vamoosing.
Yeah. Well, the only real person who could give us more on this information is Sir Raynor. But that maybe pick up whatever like the other Marquis by maybe other winter contract or other like
Yes, I
given by
can.
them.
I've got another writ that I can give to Nathan to pick up on the way to the fair when he takes bail in there.
Will that save time? Though still now we have to find out. Still no, I don't know. I'm curious about whoever this third party is. That's
The other thing too is that Corden seems to be involved in antagonizing the Markham family. Perhaps he has some more dirt, but time is of the essence.
Unless
Did
we
you-
wanted to split up again, we don't have to pick and choose. I think.
Did you find anything else when you went to the Duke's estate? I'm sure there must have been something. Maybe names, people to investigate?
We found a very high level in Mortalitasi who was at the acquaintance level with Janice.
yes. Mm-hmm.
And that the dealings seem to be linked between this Duke, a shady figure, Janice, and someone else.
Yes. I think it's my guess would be probably the shady figure paying up the Duke. Or no, the shady
No.
figure is
They paid
there's-
Janice.
Yeah, so there's someone who's using the Duke as a way to give the Marquis. That's as far as I've found in there. Because all it was someone using the Duke Janus to way to put on this Marquis. Don't know if there's more though, because that's the only one I found. So I doubt it could be another one from Duke Janus, but it could be from other Dukes maybe.
Spirits don't put themselves in dead bodies, so maybe that Mortalitasi knows something.
And that would make a lot of sense given Aldrich's current situation.
Agreed. But why spirits? What's the need of all of them? If there even is any at all, unless Aldrich is the only one we know who got turned to one.
Also, doesn't your client fear reprisal? Especially because he says he has a family.
Yes, that's why we opted to pitch it as attempted murder and not outright. Any move against the Winters here in Navarre has been handled with very swiftly and
Delicately.
precisely.
Alright. Are we shifting over to Thomas Rainier?
I guess out of character, are we going to entertain splitting up again to cover more ground first before we go to Rainier?
I think we should probably split up because we only have, 3 days?
2 days
36
left.
hours. So
36
like
hours.
a day and a
6
half.
hours. A day and a half.
Probably
So
less than
we-
we got some stuff.
We used up probably half of this day already.
Yeah. You probably it's actually probably bedtime, so probably the next morning is when you're gonna go out again, most likely. Morning. So
I mean, I've already went to Manfred once. It should be much faster this time.
So we just need Thomas. We just need Thomas. Is it Thomas? Yeah.
Tom, yeah.
Thomas.
Or Thomas.
And then there's the inquiry of the Mortalitasis and Lord Korn himself, Karn.
I will say there is something Pasha wants to ask Audric, if she gets the chance.
Okay. How about we prioritize Rainier? 3 of us will go now, and then someone else pick up the other documents, then we'll pick this up fresh after that.
We can send Nathan to pick up the documents if need be, or we can send or Leon or Darrington since they both know about Manfred.
Personally, I would suggest Leon and Dirtham for the simple fact that they know what they're looking for. Nathan could pick up the wrong thing. That is not an insult to Nathan's intelligence.
Also, it took us a little bit of time just to find the office. People seem to just sort of pass it off along a little bit, so...
Oh, I'm inclined to agree. So I guess, do we want to do the same split that we had before just to get these documents and get Rainier interviewed, and that'll leave us a little bit more time to handle a couple loose ends tomorrow?
So, I think everyone should have 2 objectives, because it sounds like that's about as much time as we have. Russo group, haha, is going after Rainier, and who else?
I think
Right?
I think we'll prioritize Rainier and Aldrich.
Okay.
And then we're going after the extra documents, and what else?
Lord Karn.
Okay. Hendrik Karn.
In that case, I'll go with them. Lord Karn.
Yeah, so I don't think me and Pasha will be in much trouble just getting a couple interviews.
Yeah. Alice is Dosu at least, so. And you two should be fine, so.
Yep.
And I'm gonna give them the copy of, like, would it be fair to say I have, like, newspapers that represent the relationship that Karn has had
Sure.
with the Duke recently, and, like, that there's a little bit of dirt involved? Just give them copies of that info.
Okay. Pasha and Rousseau, you guys will go back to the Rainier home. They are slightly below middle class, I would say. So this is the next day. This is like some time the next morning. You'll knock on the door, and I'm gonna say the woman opens it, and she'd say, "Oh, Mr. Alren, good to see you. I'm assuming you're here to see Thomas?"
Yes, I am, ma'am. Would you be so kind to introduce us?
Of course. I should warn you, however, that Thomas, he was out really late last night. And I don't know if he is 100% completely better from things, but you certainly can go speak to him.
Okay. And this is my aide, Pasha.
Pleased to meet you, she says.
You too, Mrs. Rayner.
Come in. And she'll take you over to the living room, and maybe like offer you all some coffee or tea or something. And she'll say, "Tom, Mr. Alren, the lawyer that I told you about, he's here." It's this early in the morning. It's about 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, Tom. You probably should get out of bed. So out emerges this man. Clearly he has a huge hangover. Clearly. You can still smell the stench of alcohol on his clothing. He's very, very unkempt. For those of you who played Dragon Age Inquisition, this is obviously a man who never became Blackwall. That did not happen. So he is very much the Tom Rainier that he was prior to that. He comes in, scratching his butt a little bit, not really like very high society at all. And he says, "Hey, Mr. Rupo."
It's Rousseau, but
Yeah, close
Pleased
enough.
to meet
Close
you.
enough. What's with the, he kind of goes like this.
I'm half Cune.
You're a Canary?
Yes.
Well, just so you know, I've got no interest in converting anytime soon.
By race, not by religion.
Oh, okay, well, good. Because those Canary religious types are loony.
Just an eyelid. Going much.
I'm just gonna give Pasha a look like, please do not ruin this.
What are you looking at, Toots? He says, looking at Pasha.
This is...
What did he just call me?
He's being friendly.
He didn't look friendly. He looks rather, leery.
Disheveled.
You a lawyer? He says, he asks Pasha.
I'm an assistant.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Why?
He actually will ignore that question. He turns back to Rousseau. So what do you want?
Your mother told me that you were very privy to certain events that I'm investigating for my case, and I really do need your story.
Yeah, I got a story for you, so what's in it for me?
I'm willing to pay up what I can, but I need you to agree that you'll appear in court.
Well, you see, there's a bit of a issue here, because word on the street says this whole thing involves the Winters, and I'm not really interested in sticking my neck out for something that's involving the Winters. They're bad news.
I won't tell you that they aren't, but the Winters can't remain unchecked. And this is a case where it could ruin many other families like yours if they keep allowed with free access.
Well, talk is cheap, so how much are we saying here for me to appear in court?
I will pay you up front to get you to agree. 2 sovereigns right now, and then after the case, I'm willing to negotiate a portion of my winnings.
2 whole sovereigns, eh? Let's see them.
I'm gonna pull them out my bag and just set them on the table, and then I'm also gonna pull a note out of my bag right next to it. That's essentially like you're agreeing.
He'll take one of the coins and he'll check it with his teeth, very crooked teeth, and he's gonna say, "All right, so I'm just gonna let you know that I was out that night, and I basically saw the Audric guy. He was running in the woods. He looked a little scared, upset, what have you, white in the face. And I saw him pick up a pitchfork. It was just stuck there. He was running through, and there was a pitchfork that was just stuck there. Picked it up, and then I saw 2 people. Didn't get a very close eye on them, but I could have sworn that one of them was definitely one of the Winters people. That
I'm gonna pull a drawing out from my bag of Guinness and point to it.
yeah, that's her. Anyway, He starts screaming something. I didn't quite catch what he says. And then he goes and just charges at the woman and stabs her in the left leg with the fork. A pitchfork. There's a scuffle. Anyway, I hear a big crack at some point. The guy goes down. Seemed knocked out cold. Saw all that. I didn't want to get involved, so I ran off. Because especially with the Winters people, I want nothing to do with that.
Is it fair to say that Audric was very visibly chased by these people?
Yeah, it seems so. Like I said, he seems scared.
Okay. Can I roll investigation to see if he's like hiding anything? Because I'm very astute at picking up on all cues.
Yeah, go right ahead.
6, 10, 14, 18, 20!
Yeah. You can tell that Tom has a little bit more information, but he doesn't seem to be divulging it right now for some reason.
Are you absolutely sure there's nothing else that would be of importance?
Hey, are you calling me a liar?
No. I think your concern is very valid to be scared about the people involved, but if I realistically want to win, I need to know every detail.
Alright. So... I don't know if this is related in any way, shape, or form, but I've seen that Winters person before around these parts a few days prior to this whole thing. Didn't really give it much thought, but I caught her hanging out with, what's his face, Markham. Some important guy, Markham. It was her and this other guy, and they were having some sort of conversation outside somewhere. Couldn't really catch what they were saying, though.
Was there anyone else with them?
Other than those 3 people? Nah, no one else.
Did you get a good look at the third person?
Which third person?
You said, out of character, you said other than those 3, I only heard Gennis and Markham.
Oh, the other guy? The other, I guess it was a guy. It looked like a guy. The only thing I could see was the bottom of his chin. He had like a goatee of some sort. Really, really pointy.
Was there anything to distinguish the affiliation he might be with?
I couldn't really get a good close at what else he was wearing. I mean, he was wearing really dark clothing, and you know, nowadays it's kind of hard to make out anything in this light or lack of.
Yeah.
Did you see what color his hair was? If you were able to see the goatee, could you tell what color?
It looked black. Pretty darn jet black. Maybe a little gray. Maybe. Hard to tell in this light.
Okay. So you saw that they had a meeting 3 days prior to all going down.
Just outside the city. Mentioned something about a gnarled oak tree by some gnarled bushes. I didn't catch what the context of it was. That was the only thing I really caught about their conversation.
Okay. Thomas, I thank you for everything. The last thing I have to really ask you would be, could you give me the place where they met so I could investigate that further?
Yeah. He'll give you a description of where it was. You're pretty familiar with the city, so you know it is just outside. of the city, close to the woods, basically. So he'll tell you.
And did it look like they came from the woods?
I have no idea. I'm assuming the fancy schmancy Duke guy didn't come from the woods.
Okay.
Maybe the third goatee guy did. I have no idea. Didn't look like he was somebody that's been living within the city necessarily.
That's interesting. I'm not gonna ask in the line of features because they were very well hidden, but about how tall was this hooded figure?
I'd probably say about 6 feet, give or take. Decently tall.
Okay.
Had a walking stick. Does that matter?
It might. Was there any design on the stick? Was it just a regular handle? Was it a...
Didn't get a good look at it. I just know that he walked with a walking stick. Couldn't really describe it very well.
Did he have a limp or was it just decorative?
Didn't notice a limp.
Okay.
Didn't notice any jewels on it or nothing.
Alright. Well, unless if you think you saw anything else, I think we've gone about as far as we can. I'll have someone come to present you with the court date, and if you'd sign this form, we'll let you be to recover.
Got a question about this court date. Do I have to dress up?
It would be very recommended.
He grumbles a little bit as he's signing the document.
And you have to sober up, too.
That's a little bit of an ask.
Well, if we win, the payment will be better than Sovereign's.
You got a point. Is there anything else?
I think we've gotten as much as we can from this person. Would you agree, Pasha?
I believe so.
Alright, well, thanks again. I look forward to working with you further, and so sorry to interrupt your sleep. And I'm gonna get up to shake his hand.
He'll look at it, he'll spit on his hand, and then he'll shake.
Yep.
It's sticky.
I'm gonna say, is he gonna sign the form before I go?
He'll sign it. He'll look towards Pasha and he'll say, well, I guess I'll see ya, Toots.
Tasha leaves.
Okay, it's okay. Was that what Tasha did in character, or?
It was a little bit of like a punch him, don't punch him, just walk out.
Right.
Just get out of that.
For one who speaks, Pasha has been unable to speak quite a lot in this session.
Just get very exhaustively, like, stroke my hair back. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, does Pasha want to say anything to Rousseau as they're leaving this beautiful house?
As they're leaving, just, what the hell does toots mean? I know it means something, and I think it's offensive, but I can't tell.
It's slightly derogatory.
She turns like she's like, I'm going.
Pasha? No. I've paid good money to keep Rainier in my court. We don't want to ruin that.
For you, Rousseau, I will contain my fists. But just for you.
If he says it again after the case, then not my problem anymore.
I can. You're just saying, I can deal with that.
All right. Meanwhile, the Sunshine Triplets. So the Sunshine Triplets make their way over to Manfred's office again. Pretty quickly this time. Manfred will be able, again, he will hobble over, open the door just before, sit at the desk, and this time he will stare, I guess, at Leon just by default, because Leon was the last person that he, I guess, interacted with. And waiting.
Could we get the records of all the Winters cases?
As well as any that's what was it? Joss something?
Duke Janus. Duke Janus.
Duke Janus von Markham requisitioned.
He will nod. Now, the one with Duke Janus, it was only the one.
It was
He is not. It was only
so he's
that
only
one.
ever requisitioned one.
He's only ever requisitioned that one.
Okay.
Ever.
Alright.
As for the ones that were done through the Winters, again, it's about a handful. I would probably say like a half a dozen over the last couple of years. Half a dozen over the last 2 years.
Okay. Looking over them, what are like? Is there a common theme in terms of their? Are like the excuses better on this one, or like what's? Is there anything?
I would say the excuses are better in this one, a little bit more cut and dry. They're certainly the one that you have is the vaguest of the cases. So, but in none of those cases was it ever reported. You'll get this information as well. In none of those cases did it ever lead to death or murder.
Okay.
Normally they were able to settle. They were able to settle the reparations. So this incident was the one incident where somebody actually died.
So the Winters have, if not a clean reputation, not a dirty one.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Any other records you think we need?
For Marquise, there's nothing that...
No.
Duke. Wait, so out of character real quick, what was the whole thing with Karn?
Name drop only.
Name drop, but in terms of news, what's going on is he has a problematic connection with Duke Janus. There's rumors that he might be doing a duel, that he asked for a duel against him, but there's been no response.
Why don't we ask about Marquise that he might have done?
Excuse me, Mr. Manfred. Do you have any, by chance, any marquees by Lord Penric Karn?
He will nod, and he will go over through the files, look around. He returns back, seeming a little empty-handed, but then he pauses again, turns around, goes into a different section. This is a section that appears to be a section of marquees that are in development. It has not yet been started. It is starting, but it has not finished yet. And he gives you an unfinished draft of a marquee that was started by Mr. Penric. It's actually a marquee that is against the Duke Markham, actually, a marquee from Penric against the Duke, and basically because of there's like a history of, I think the Duke had allegedly assaulted some of the members of his household, and it's essentially almost like a restraining order against the Duke to like not if he doesn't like stop leaving, if he doesn't leave them alone, then
Is this against like servants or is it like against family members?
I'm gonna say it's against both.
Okay.
Okay.
And is there a what's the term? Is there like a privateer company that has taken this up yet?
Yes, correct. It is not the Winters.
You could have had like the Summers.
Snatch Bros and New Challenger approaches.
Actually, I like that. The Summers. Let's it's called the Summers.
The rivals. That's what they are.
The rivals, the Summers. There we go. I like that better.
And is it for like assault or just like harassment and?
Yes, for harassment, basically. The leader of the Summers is a blonde named Buffy.
Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
I think we went a little off the beaten path.
I understand now. Okay.
So there definitely seems to be something going on between the two of these two.
And our client was not at all associated with Hendrik Karn that we know of.
Roderick?
As far as we know, no. He's acquainted with with Duke. And there has been a name drop between the Duke and the Mournwatcher.
Yeah, can we see if
This might have been when I was absent.
can we get
'cause I'm-
Myrna? Records on Myrna?
Right.
Yeah, and records on the Mournwatcher Myrna, if deemed allowed.
He will turn around, look through the files if there's anything associated with Myrna, the Mournwatcher. Eventually, he will return back empty-handed.
Alright, so there's no marquees by here.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Architect historian, Mournwatcher, unnamed third party. What if it's something to do with the necropolis
Yeah,
that Audric might have found out about?
yeah, it's a possibility. What if it's the... Oh, wait a minute, what if it's the one of the Mortaltasi?
Yeah.
We may want to go talk to Myrna if we have a chance. If she'll see us, or if she'll just turn us into skeletons.
Let's hope not. I don't know if there's anything else we can really ask in terms of marquee.
Yeah, I think we're done here. Oh, now, do we want to talk to Karn, Myrna, or split up again?
We have to talk to Karn, but we also want to talk to Myrna.
It's
We
best
should.
if it's Myrna, we have to go together. I think it's best, like, as in the whole group, maybe.
Yeah. So Karn.
Manfred, before you leave, he turns towards Tyrion, and he looks. He just kind of looks into Tyrion's eyes. I don't know how you react to him.
I just kind of blink a bit. I kind of like shivers on my spine, and just kind of give him a nod.
Manfred then goes. He goes like this with his
Ooh.
chin.
Raised eyebrow. Have you seen me before, sir? I've never met.
He shakes his head.
Have you seen?
Again, he does this.
Have you seen someone with a beard?
He will nod.
Do you have a
Looks like me.
name?
Yeah, do you have a name of this bearded man?
He will stand up, and he will point again to the document, the Winters document. And then he will go through a back room after he points at the Winters document. He'll come back with a book. I'm going to say that you recognize the book to be bound in a very Tevinter looking style bound. And
That's my accent. That's fine.
he again points at the contract that the Duke had made with Winters, and then he points at the book. The book is an autobiography, a copy of the autobiography written by Archon, the ex-Archon Radonis.
Wait a minute.
I wouldn't know that much, but Tyrion would.
Wait. Hold up.
What is it?
That's the book. It's an autobiography of the Archon. Wait, are you saying... Did you cut my accent? Did you cut my accent? Is that why?
He will nod.
The Archon. Dirtham sounds confused when he says that.
He was the last Archon of the Winter before he got...
Calpurnia.
Right.
But he was, as you know that he was publicly humiliated, and ever since that incident, nobody has seen him. He has not shown his face around to Vinter ever again.
What the fuck?
So he's working with the Winters.
Did Rousseau mention the cloaked figure?
Not yet, but you might
Not
in a
yet,
moment when
okay.
you reconvene. You might in a moment when
Interesting.
you reconvene.
Alright.
Did you see this bearded man before? Was he with the Winters?
He will go like this, as if he was cloaked or shrouded.
And he has spoken a Tevinter accent? Like mine?
He will nod.
Did he resemble what you know to be the Archon?
He will nod.
A Tevinter Archon
Tevinter
is
Archon is
never
here.
good.
Especially one who's been publicly humiliated fairly recently.
He was what?
Public humiliated.
Oh,
Well, not
that's
fairly
not
recently.
good.
That was about 10 years ago? Was 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago. It was 10 years since he was publicly humiliated by, well, we don't know the sources who it was.
Isn't this something that should be escalated to the Queen, though? Because this is a foreign public dignitary who's causing a muck in her city.
But it's,
Manfred will then point to the document, the copy of the guidelines of marquees that are acceptable, and he points again at the everything needs to be within the jurisdiction of Navarra City, like within that country, not outside of that country.
and he's using Duke Jazz as a way to get this thing done. But what's the connection between the former Archon and...
So we have the Archon. We have the possible Mortalitasi and Grand Necropolis connection. And we have Karn. I don't think there's... Wait a minute. Lord Penric, if we could perhaps leak to him that the Archon, that the Duke was working with the Archon, that could be quite the public blackmail.
Oh, yes.
That would perhaps cut any support Duke Janus could provide to the case.
And will make the case significantly easier, because if Noble decides to cut ties and burn bridges, the Winters will lose their support and may back down as well.
But there needs to be some proof.
Also, if we get word to the Queen that this Archon is causing a muck in our city, she may take action on her own to cease his actions.
Well...
But how do we find the Archon?
He's been meeting with Guinness and...
Well, we don't know that yet.
I'm meaning before that, not now. Before the tavern meeting.
Tyrion would know about that because he was there at the contact meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. The Archon, the shadowy figure, probably the Archon, let's say, and the Duke had a talk with Guinness in a tavern, a dark tavern, and the Shadow Man had paid quite a hefty pouch. That's as far as I know, so maybe they might find something else, I don't know, but if there is a shadowy man, it's the Archon.
Did you find out where the next contact will be? Like, maybe where the Archon will be next?
No. I really do not know.
I do like the political blackmail with Pendrick Karn, just informing him and then giving him more fire to...
But we will need some evidence.
Yeah, something to show that it was an Archon, that it was the Archon himself.
I'm sure that he has his own sort of lead. If we give him a heading, I'm sure he'll start running with it.
If you mention it to him...
Manfred, where did you see the Archon?
He will turn to a map of the city that's hanging on the wall. I know, baby. I'm almost done. And he is going to point again to a spot near the edge of the city that is relatively close to some woods.
Maybe they might meet back over there or some area like that. Did you see them leave? Did you know where they might have gone, or did you not caught that? Okay. Alright. Sorry. Thank you. I think that's all we have, I think.
Manfred just looks at Tyrion again, and he just goes, and that's all he does.
Oh no.
I won't say anything.
I will look to Manfred and say, "Is this information we should share with the Queen, assuming we find evidence?"
He will just shrug. He doesn't know.
Okay.
Not in the flowchart.
Not in the flowchart. Okay. That's it.
All right.
Cool.